welcome to Elena's Bar. Welcome to Elena's Bar community. I'm today with a guest speaker, Jared Mello from Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. Jared, thank you so much for joining us today. PK is running late, but we decided to not lose time and talk with you guys about the red pill, how to approach Rollo's books, and we actually started talking about the danger of the red pill for some people. So, Jared, could you please elaborate on this topic a little bit?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Elena. I really appreciate it. And what we were talking about before was just how some people, if they're not in the top echelon of guys, they discover the red pill, they discover the rational male, and they don't know how to integrate it into their dating lives. And they see, and here's where all the red pill channels and sometimes the MGTOW channels, they contribute to this a little bit, where they just show the examples of all the worst women and say, you see, this is an example of the woman being useless. This is an example of the woman cheating. This is the woman saying she can have it all and still isn't going to be satisfied. So they get bombarded with that messaging, and then they feel like, why bother? The juice isn't worth the squeeze, as they all like to say, right? And I think there's a lot of guys that they discover this stuff, and then they become like voluntary celibates, almost, a lot of them. And they get community, ironically, by joining a MGTOW group, by joining like a black pill channel, and they have a community of friends that maybe they normally wouldn't have had. So maybe that guy would have been more of a loner before, but then he has this community of guys who are in a similar position as him. And here's the cool thing, though. The ironic thing about some of that MGTOW stuff is when they stop thinking about women as much, or excuse me, I shouldn't even say that, because they're still thinking about women, and they talk about them a lot. But when they actually have a life without women, that does make you more attractive to women. Like when you're doing something on your own, when you have activities, when you have like a purpose and you're taking care of yourself, ironically, they do become more attractive. But they get entrenched in this, oh no, I'm never going to get married. But I do agree with that part, because marriage right now is, for a guy, it's a risky, risky thing. Even for women, it's a risky, risky thing.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of guys. They would prefer to stay single rather than to get married, considering the current events and how the law is structured. And look, even if a guy is dating a woman and she gets pregnant, for example, right? He's still liable for this child, even though how do we prove that it's his child? How do we know that she didn't, especially if they're dating non-exclusively? Where is the guarantee that he's the father of the child? There is none. Without the DNA test, you can't prove it. And then good luck convincing women to do a DNA test.
I know they're trying to make a law so that it has to be every time there's a birth, that there would be a paternity test. But I think right now, doctors, it's actually illegal for them to tell the father that he's not the father, I think. I think I've heard Rollo say that before, but it makes sense, because they don't want the guy to leave.
Yeah, they want him to fund this woman, and then she can do whatever she wants to do. See, my frustration with women in particular, I'm not against women, but come on, we need to have some accountability for our own stupid choices. You know, we can't rely on men to cover and bail us out all the time whenever we screw up. I know it's very comfortable, it's very convenient, but what does it lead us to? Look, families break apart. You know, what happens to children? What are we raising? You know, for the future generations. And you know, how did the man, which is going to lead me to the question to you guys, what is it being a man today? What do you think? What does a man have to be today?
Well, first, so he's PK? What's your name?
Hi. PK. Yeah, it's a short for Pawan Kumar.
Okay. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Wizard. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I heard a lot about you from Elena. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
It's good you're here. Yeah.
All good things, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All good things. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't go towards the bad things anyway. It's always positive person, Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes,
PK.
she is. Always very positive.
Yeah. It's always looking towards the good in people, that's
It's
her
a good
nature.
quality. It's good
Yeah.
quality to have. So,
Yeah.
Alina, what was the question again?
Yeah, let's get to the questions, guys. I have 4 pages of questions for you, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
And then I want to really understand what men think, okay? Because there is a lot of confusion. I definitely see it on a lot of channels. I watch a lot of content, and not necessarily always by the red pill community, but also the feminized women, feminized blue pilled men. In fact, Rollo brings them up all the time, and yeah, I just want really to get your male perspective on things, and please be
Yeah.
honest, okay? Don't be scared. I'm not here to judge you, or you know my stance, okay? I love men. I also love women, but I want to understand you guys, okay? So this is what
Yeah.
we're going to do. Let's first start with the um, marital status. What's your status, guys?
So I'm single. I
Hmm.
I date right now, but I'm not married. So that's where I am with things.
Okay.
Um,
Are you
Yeah.
thinking of getting married eventually? Maybe.
I'm 38 right now, and in my 20s, I'd always wanted to be married, but I was single for so long, I kind of just got used to it, and now I enjoy it, and now it would almost feel like I was smothered or something if I actually had a very serious relationship, because I've gotten just so used to just doing my own thing and being on my own. Marriage for me is like, I don't see anything that you just can't do with a girlfriend. Like, you can still have a child with a girlfriend. You can live
Uh-huh.
together with a girlfriend. So, what am I going to accomplish by getting married that I couldn't do without being married? And again, you have to worry about common law still anyway, but
Yeah, 50-50
I
split.
just don't yeah, I just don't see for me, I don't think I will anymore at this point. I don't rule
Okay.
out being a dad, but marriage, I'd be surprised at this point. I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually asked the same question to my husband. What would happen if we never met and he's 34 right now? Oh no, wait, he's older than that. 36, I think. And he told me he would not have married. He would probably stay single, and he maybe would date girls like non-exclusively, or maybe would stay around with one girl because what's the point? Yeah, that's totally understandable. Okay, Pikia, your turn now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when I look at you guys are as old as my kids are, So I'm a generation, baby boomer generation. I'm from that time, and I was married when I was like 26. I came to America married. I mean, I couldn't come here unless I was married. That was the family told me, and that's what back then you listen to people. You listen to your families, your relatives. That's how it was. I don't see that anymore. That's a good thing. And so we were married for 30 years. And after that, I just called it quit, but it wasn't going anywhere. Kids were all grown up, and I said, oh, we are not compatible. We don't, we haven't done anything good in last 30 years except having kids. Other than that, there was nothing common. So, so it's been 7 years or something, and life has been better since then. And I still
So do you
remember the first day I called quit. I was so happy that a lot of weight came off my head. I was so happy. But it's been 7 years now. I've been like 10,000 times more happier than I was happy, the way I was happy that day. I thought, oh, this is the best thing which can happen. But now it just keeps growing.
So would
I
you
have
mean,
you
consider hold on, would you consider marrying again?
at this point in life, it's very doubtful because
Okay.
we get married to have kids. Nowadays, you don't have to get married even to have kids, but it's just a thought, that if you want kids, you want to get married, have a family setting, and all this looks good. But no, I don't want kids. Even if I have kids now, I'll be too old to take care of them. When they are in their 20s, I'll be like, what, 90 years old. It doesn't. It's not the thing I want to do unless we are so good together, we are so compatible that there's just joy and joy, nothing else. If that happens, we'll get married. We may not have kids. I might get married. Nothing wrong, and it's just on the papers. Maybe the judge will say, "Oh no, you're 80 years old. No, why do you want to get married? For what? No, just go live together. That's it. You know,
Now,
it's
do you date now, PK?
uh, I just learned how to date a few days ago. I have still have to go on my first date. Yeah, no, I haven't been.
No
We go
dates?
out
It's
together.
okay.
Huh?
I was gonna
We
say you
go out
haven't been
together. So go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
any date. So you've been dating for the last 7 years,
No,
or
I
you
have
have
not
not
been.
been. Oh, okay,
We
okay,
have a lot of
interesting.
friends. I have a lot of friends, but I don't. We go out and eat, but it's not a date. We just
Right.
hang out, friends. I have many friends. Here in town, we do yoga together, we go dancing together, we do all the activities. And we travel together, but no dates yet. No,
I think a
I,
big
I
difference now is the women are a little bit different now than they were 30 years ago. I
yeah,
think
I see
there
that.
were
I see.
there were more roles back then. People had a role that they played. I think people were more likely to try to work things out together because there wasn't the illusion of all these options on social media, dating apps, etc. And maybe some of those people shouldn't have stayed together. Maybe they should have
Yeah,
left, but a lot of them stayed. And I think
yeah, a
now
lot of them.
people are independent now. Women are independent. Men
Yeah,
are independent. And I see women, they're more independent than a lot of men, honestly.
Yeah.
They're doing better financially. They don't
yeah,
need men. Men really do want women a lot of times, but the women, they're just good. They're good. So they
yeah,
are more picky
yeah,
now.
yeah. They are. My daughter, she is like 32. She'll turn 33 in a month or so, 2 months, and she dates. I mean, she's been dating since she was in high school. But nothing. She's very picky. She's a doctor. I don't know. Maybe that's why she's that picky. So, but I don't know. I mean, she's self-sufficient. She doesn't ask me for any help. She does things her own. I mean, I know
That
what she's
probably
doing.
contributes.
Yeah,
That probably contributes that she's a doctor, a 32-year
yeah,
old doctor, so she's probably doing pretty well financially.
yeah,
And for
yeah,
a guy to really catch her interest, he's probably got to be doing pretty good. Like he's got to either
yeah,
be a
Yes, I
doctor
think you
or
are.
some sort of business owner or something. Because the
yeah,
guys that are not doing as well as her, it's going to be really hard for her to be
yeah. The
as attracted to
girls
him.
look up. Yeah, girls look
Yeah,
up.
that's
They
just.
don't go down. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what
That's
normally
the
happens though for her? Like when her relationships end, does she normally end them, or they just
yeah.
usually part ways?
Yeah, she just friends and dates and friends and dates. She has one relationship when she was doing her residency in Boston, and it was okay. And then one day she got tired. She said, "Dad, I don't know." I said, "It's up to you. If you are ending that relationship, you don't have the reason to live there. Come down here
Right.
to Phoenix." So now she's here. So I won't let her go now anywhere else. You find a boyfriend, find him here in this town. Nowhere
Right.
else. I mean,
Well,
it's just,
I think there's just a lot of guys that they don't adapt well to the new dating market here. Right. I was
yeah,
listening to Chris
oh, yeah,
Williamson yesterday, and he
uh-huh.
had Destiny on. Elena, you know Destiny, right?
I've
You hear
heard,
Rollo
yeah.
talk about him.
Yeah, I should
So,
probably do more research and yeah,
well,
actually.
he was
But
on Chris Williams' channel yesterday,
hmm
and they were talking about how there's a lot of conservative men that wish
hmm
things would go back to the way they were, like in the 50s. And there was a comment that said, that's just not going to happen. You know, that's not going to happen anymore. People have to evolve. And the problem is, though, the more equal things get for women, the more cultural equality they have, the more dating inequality men will have. That's just the
yeah,
law of nature. You can't change that. So men, they have to do better, right? They have to if they want to do well in the marketplace today, they got to improve themselves. They got to try to be the best version of themselves they can be. And it's kind of always been like this, but I think it's more so like this now because women have more freedom now. They have more independence now. They can say no. They don't need a man to take care of them and to provide for them. Like your daughter, she has a good salary more than likely, and she doesn't need a man. She might want one, but she doesn't
Yeah,
really need it.
yeah. That's what she says, that it may not happen, you know. She said, she just, she's just picky, you know. She
Right.
doesn't, she knows it better now because a lot of her friends, you know, they're not happy in the marriages, you know. A lot of the guy friends, they are getting divorced, you know, and all this, you know. And she has seen with us too, you know, we weren't a good example of love life in front of them, you know. And you know, hopefully she learns. I'm learning a lot too. Hopefully I might be able to help her change, but you know, it just you know, it's our environment is a major factor, you know, in finding ourselves where we are, you know, the people we grew up with, the people we associate with, we watch people. If they aren't happy in what they are doing, less likely for us to do that, you know, because we'll know, oh, it's not a good example. No. Marriage is not a good example, you know. And that's what's going
Well,
around here. Divorce rate
right.
is so high. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I think also people don't know how to be good teammates anymore. Like a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
people, they don't know how to work together as a team. And that's one of the
uh,
big things I would look for in a woman. How easy to get along with are you? Can you work
yeah,
together as a team, or is every hill a hill to die on? That's one thing I would think of. And the one thing I see a lot of is this. There's people who say there's a lot of women who are very like strongly opinionated, and it
uh,
comes off as very disagreeable and combative. And some people say that's just mature. And it's like I don't think that's as much mature as it is they are immature to the point that they think every hill is a hill to die on. It's like if you're mature, you'll know, hey, sometimes you got to work with people. Sometimes you got to try to be more cooperative. Not every hill and every battle is meant to be to the death. And I think it
no,
seems like a lot of people think that way. And I also think we're in an epidemic of selfishness or self absorption, too. I mean,
yeah,
we all have our phones that we look at a lot, and people are just all doing their own things. They want to just do what's best for them. And I
yeah,
think to a
yeah,
point that's good, but I think there also comes a point where that doesn't help relationships, where you
no,
gotta give and take a little bit.
yeah, yeah. You have to have time together, you know. You cannot
Yeah,
be two people sitting and looking at their own phone and connecting with their own group of people. No, it's one
that's the
on
other
one
thing.
now, you know. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. But like, so say if a man and a woman, they both have a
yes.
full time job. Maybe they're working 50 hours a week a piece. When do you even see each other? Just
Very
at
little.
nighttime?
Yeah,
And unless you live with them, like you're not even
yeah,
seeing them very much. How are you supposed to develop some sort of romantic, serious relationship when you hardly see them?
yeah, yeah.
It
It's
makes it a
very
lot
important.
harder.
Yeah,
Like you just talk on the
yeah.
phone, I
People.
guess.
Yeah, 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 and that continues even when they are together. They forget they are together. They still look at their phones, you know, because it's the
Yeah.
habit, natural response to instinct, you know, and uh, and uh, and somehow the old ways were better when women stayed home, took care of the house, and took care of the kids. When the man came, they had some time together, to eat together or to watch TV or to talk or sit outside on the porch or whatever they did, together. Being together in those days was common like this. And that was possible. Now both are working, and on top of this, they have different hours of working. So maybe one person is working night shift, the other is day shift. Then they don't see each other at all for a week or so, or maybe one day a week they're face to face. And after being out of away from each other that long, they don't know what to do now, how to connect. They forget the way of
Yeah.
connecting with their spouse, whereas they know the way to connect with their fellow workers, but they don't know how to connect with the spouse when they come home. It's
Yeah.
just forgotten.
There's just so many things that need to go right. Like if you're going to meet
Yeah,
a serious
in order for
person,
that.
yeah, when you're over 30 years old, you got to have a similar schedule. You got to have time to see each other. You got to have a compatible temperament. There's all of these
Right.
variables that have to meet to be met.
Me.
And I think
Yeah.
a lot of times they're just not met. They're not met, and so people stay
No.
single.
Yeah, and when they all meet, that's how you become a couple. Otherwise, you are not a couple. You are just living
Yeah.
together. So living
Are the
together, if you are
roommates?
not, yeah, roommates, yeah. So it's better to be roommates, not married, living together, than to be married and obligated to do things to each other families, or to spend time with people and all this.
Right.
When you are married, you have to do it. When you are not, oh well, I cannot be here this time, but I can meet you next week or week after or something like this.
Right. I'll say this
It's,
too. Now that
yeah,
I'm older, I know I've become selfish too. I just want to do what
yeah,
I want to do now. Where in my 20s, I would have been much more willing to like compromise and bend and try to do whatever I can to make a serious
right.
relationship work. But now that I'm 38, my desire to do that has gone way down. And I just
Yeah,
want to have fun now. I just like, you know what?
yeah,
I want to date, I want to have fun, but I want to do what I'm doing. I want to do my Facebook, I want to do my YouTube channels, do TikTok.
yeah,
That's what I want to
yeah.
do. And if
That's it.
someone's
Jared,
not okay
tell
with
us,
that,
yeah, tell us a little bit. I should have asked you at the beginning, but we kind of dove into the red pill and started talking about it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because the interviews, I kind of mentioned it to people before. They are very interesting that you're running. What's your background?
oh, okay. So I went to school for addictions counseling for one, and then I went to school for a master's in mental health counseling program to become a licensed professional counselor. Now, I only am a coach right now, though. I'm not a licensed professional counselor. But I talk a lot about narcissism on Facebook, and that's something that has really blown up because I have experience with that personally, and I've read a lot of books, I've learned from a lot of doctors, and I just use those two things and I talk about stuff that a lot of people really relate to. So I've been on YouTube here for years talking about men's dating issues, trying to help
Yeah,
guys, but that never really took off for me. It wasn't until I started talking about narcissism stuff, and I started with TikTok, and some of my videos began to blow up, and I was like, huh, maybe I'm onto something here. And so then I started doing that on Facebook, and my Facebook following blew up, and so I decided, okay, well, I'm going to start a new YouTube channel, besides this one I'm on right now, that's just going to talk about that topic. And so I'm doing that, and this Wizard of Radical Self-Respect channel is the channel that I do for interviews, right? And I try to interview just people that I find interesting. So I've interviewed Congress candidates. I've interviewed people that are advocates for supplements. I've interviewed women just about dating, mental health stuff, addiction stuff, personality disorder people. And I might be getting HG Tudor on the show here at some point. That's not confirmed. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's got a pretty good channel. But that's what I do. I have an interview channel, and I got a channel I talk about narcissism on. And I help people practice radical self-respect. And I had tried to do that for men for a long time. But men are not as into self-improvement as women seem to be. There's so many more women that try to better themselves and go into the self-help space than men do, it seems. There are men who do, of course. I think you are, PK, right? But
Yeah,
I think they're just fewer and far between. The guys at the higher levels, they do it. Like they are
Yeah.
reading books, they are doing self improvement. But the average guy, not so much.
No. Oh, that's so interesting because I thought it was actually that women didn't want to improve because I judge based on how many women attend our workouts, because I'm also running the classes and I try
yeah.
to be consistent and I only see men joining us for the class and they
Oh,
actually do the work.
yeah,
What
Surprisingly
class?
enough. Yoga, I teach Pilates and I mostly see men in our classes. So from the fitness standpoint,
Interesting.
fitness is about self improvement, and it's important for women to exercise even more than for men, so because of our hormones. And if women don't exercise, we can have all sorts of consequences. The bone density for once, we are more prominent to get the um, the what is called the gosh, I forgot the name for it. The reduced bone density, osteoporosis,
yeah.
osteopenia. Well, in the later years, if you don't take care of it now, and I don't see as many women interested in fitness. You know, Maybe I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm more like on the conservative side. I don't flash myself out there, like in mini shorts, mini skirts, whatever, like you see some fitness instructors are doing on social media. I'm not that kind of person. I'm teaching fitness. I know anatomy. I know what I'm doing. I try to teach a safe fitness class.
I
I've
think
had,
fitness is the self improvement that men are most likely to do, is
yeah,
fitness. Because it's a little more mindless, right? You go to the gym, you move your body, and it's good. Now, mental self improvement, like romantic relationship self improvement, mental health, spiritual health, I think more women gear towards those things. Now, and women, you do see them at the gym, but there's a lot of women who don't really enjoy working out, but they just know that they want their bodies to look good because men care about that. Men care about how people look. So they go begrudgingly, but they'll go.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
what I
also
see in yoga
yoga.
classes, in
Hmm.
yoga classes, 80 to 90% are women, very few
Yeah,
guys. I was at a international yoga festival. There are like 1,500 of us there, and 80% were girls. 20% were guys only. It's
yeah,
and same thing dancing. When I go dancing, majority are girls. And we some days we get lucky when it's 50-50, but most of the time we have to dance with a lot of girls before you take a break because they won't let you
right.
sit down. Yeah, just say.
Exactly. I think women. Sorry, PK. I'll just wrap it up here. Women are inclined to do more fun stuff, what feels good for them. Like meditation. I remember how many women were attending the meditation class during the yoga teacher training that we took with you. We took a bunch of yoga teacher trainings with you, but still, like a couple of dudes. One of the dudes was gay.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
for
it is.
record,
Yeah.
but the rest of them were women. So meditation, something easy, yeah. But is it really helping women to, improve themselves, to work on themselves, or is it misleading them? Because I don't see how just doing meditation. This is what we talked yesterday about with PK and with
Yeah.
Melody. If you're just aiming for samadhi, for self-realization, you're going for the shortcut. It's not going to have as many benefits for you. You can't just practice yoga like that. It's not a proper yoga practice. If you just go for samadhi, if you just go for the meditation part, you're skipping all other limbs of
On the
yoga.
other side.
It's not healthy.
Yeah.
Well,
And yeah, I don't see like, yeah, women are like geared towards the soul and everything, but I'm not even
spiritual.
not noticing, yeah, spiritual journeys, the experiences, like this is partly our fault as yoga
Well,
instructors, as fitness instructors, yeah, but I don't see how it helps women.
I think the average woman is much more social than the average man. I think they talk to people, they like to do things, they're going out and about, they're going to dancing, they're going to yoga classes, and they're more social than the average guy. Now, maybe they're not doing it for all the quote unquote right reasons, they're doing it more to be social. But even meditation, it's supposed to be able to help you respond rather than react to things and have more emotional self control, emotional calmness. I think that's one of its goals. Although they'll
But
say,
my question is, I get it, Jared. My question is it really helping? Because look what happens with women nowadays. And I was watching content on Instagram. The more bullshit comes out of a woman's mouth, the more likes she gets. Like seriously, like, and she's so like emotional, like, oh, feeling this, the spiritual journey is so cool, and blah blah blah, feels before reels. This kind of messages prevail in there. I just don't see, like, we need to add more rational in there, but they don't want to because it's uncomfortable for them. What do you think?
but do you think, is that really what's going on? Or is that just what appears to be going on because of social media? So I think it would really you have to take it on a case by case. I think there are some people that are being helped by meditation and yoga, absolutely. But here's the thing, and I know some of them. Some of the most peaceful, emotionally mature women I know. They're not blasting it off on social media. They're just keeping to themselves. Their social
Exactly.
media presence is a little more on the down low. Social media has a bad feedback loop mechanism where the most controversial, the most aggressive, the most look at me, that's what gets
Mhm.
spread, and it appeals to the lowest common denominators of everyone. So some women, they'll get attracted to a message like that. And then on the other side, the men, they'll blow up that woman who sounds silly because that's the lowest common denominator for their audience. Oh, let's look at this crazy woman here. Look at her. Don't be like her. Watch out for women like her. But it's like, once you've seen a channel like that and you've seen a video or two by them, you've seen them all. You've seen them all. And so there's like a point where they stop growing too, where there's not that many channels that focus on the nitty gritty because the nitty gritty isn't sexy. The nitty gritty
Exactly.
isn't going to get you a lot of views, isn't going to
Yeah.
get you a lot of clout. But people like Ryan Stone, I don't know if you know Ryan Stone.
Oh yeah, I know Ryan
So
Stone. Yeah.
he's a guy that gets into the nitty gritty and tries to help guys, but he doesn't have a big following because of it. Right? He's like actually trying to help. He's not like some of the others that's really just trying to grow and get clout. Like there's a big difference because the way what you do when you just want clout is a lot different than what you do if you really just want to help someone.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. I always tried to help people. I'm not for the. I actually wish I had fewer subscribers. But people more engaged and attending the classes because I think they could really benefit from those classes.
Sure.
You know, and also from these discussions, even if you had a couple of fitness instructors joining us, we actually managed to attract AB. She's a ballet dancer and ballet coach, so she joins us for these discussions occasionally because she's now performing, so it's her busy time. Yeah. But yeah, we managed to attract especially women. I see there is a lot of reluctancy in the fitness instructors don't want to be challenged mentally, and I got actually blocked. I don't know if you've seen that video where I mentioned I brought up the post of one woman. I didn't put her name there or anything, just the message, and I was taking the message like what she was saying. I wasn't taking her. I really like her content, like aside from this bullshit. I really kind of like her, like how she teaches the classes. She's a good fitness instructor. But whenever fitness instructors are bringing up this emotional, spiritual recommendations to people, this is where I'm really struggling with. This is where I think that they need to be challenged, and when they don't want to be challenged, this is a big question to me, whether they are actually fulfilling their purpose as fitness instructors. Are they teaching health? Are they teaching well-being? Are they teaching people how to be stronger and healthier? Or are they contributing to the delusion that everybody else is having, because they have their own, belief system that prevents them from, challenging themselves.
What's an example of something that you think they need to be challenged on?
Well, I'll give you a few examples. I brought her up. She was saying that block yourself out from people who contradict you, who don't like you, who don't support you. You know, who like any minor deviation from her idea, her perceptual idea of yourself, whenever it's challenged, it's a bad thing. For me, challenge is a good thing. If somebody doesn't like my content, if somebody doesn't like what I do, tell me why. Where can I get better? You know, how can I improve? You know, this is the main difference, because she was telling people, and look, she has a big following. Okay, she has over like 5,000 followers on Instagram, and then even more so on YouTube, or like very big, well, bigger than me, definitely. You know, but what she's telling to these people, how are people going to perceive this kind of information that she's sending to them? This is my concern. You know, are they going to take it the healthy way, or because we don't know where we are standing, who is reading our content out there? You know, a lot of people are going to take it, okay, I need to block myself out, I need to wound myself up even more into my delusion, into my belief system. You know, I'm this perfect human being, I can do no wrong. You know, I need to block myself out from the haters. She called those people who disagree, minor disagreement, haters. You know, this is a very strong, powerful word, you know, to use, especially when you are sending this message out to people.
Okay.
You know, what kind of, like, what do you think, Jared? You know, am I like the only one who's like, you need
All
to be
right, so this is what I
careful?
would think about that. So,
Mm-hmm,
a scenario like that, it requires a lot of nuance because in
mm-hmm,
some cases, she could be correct. Depending on the nature of what someone's disagreeing with them on, or if they're not being supportive, possibly that can be a problem. But other times, it's not a problem at all, and it's really just a problem with the original creator. Now, what she sounds like, as you explained it, that is certainly like a narcissistic trait to say to not like disagreement, because that's one of the things that someone who's narcissistic, they really struggle with disagreements. They like people to agree with them because they need to be 100% correct, and they have a sensitivity to criticism. So when you come at it from that base, it appears like she has something similar going on. But what I would say to everyone is, hey, you want to make sure your message is the way you want your message to be, right? But no matter how you say it, some people will probably misinterpret it. Some
yeah.
people will not take it with the intention or the desired outcome that you wanted. But you always got to make sure you're doing the best you can to be as clear as possible. And I think part of humility is recognizing, hey, sometimes people can have a different point of view, and they can be right. Sometimes you can always learn something new. And you can't do that unless you're open minded. If you're open minded, you can hear someone else's takes and say, okay, you know what? This person's actually right about this, and I should maybe amend how I think. But a lot of
Well,
times people.
this was my intention. I didn't mean to like sound mean or anything. You know, I told her, look, you could take it analytically. You could analyze and say, how can I get better? How can I improve? Because all of this constructive criticism is very helpful, actually, for content creators.
Sure.
Rollo does it all the time, you know, to people, and it's like, it depends on how you take it, you know, whether you twist it and take it as a personal attack, but then this becomes a you problem. You know, if you can't handle criticism, don't put your stuff public, you know. Why to go out there and you know, put the public messages when you know that some people will disagree with you, some people will agree with you, and if you can't manage that emotionally, it becomes too challenging for you. Then don't go out there, don't make it public. And this is another thing I brought up, that look, if you don't want to be judged as a fitness instructor, as a person, just teach quietly. You don't need the cloud, you know, to teach the classes. And why are you doing this? You put it publicly out there. What did you expect me to do? I took and I called your bullshit on, you know. I called you out on your bullshit. I said that this is a misleading message because it can be misinterpreted by in so many ways. And for me, like, yeah, we can't guarantee 100% that people are going to take it the way we intend it to be taken. But we can limit, we can be more accurate, as you've mentioned, like we can kind of direct people into the path that we intend them, you know at least like do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, from their health standpoint you know
Right. I
yeah.
mean, I would say this too. So, as a creator myself, there's two different kinds of disagreements. There's a kind of disagreement that's coming from a good faith person that's actually interested in engaging in a healthy way. And I say, okay, this is someone I'm going to take seriously and listen to. But then there's another version that's more just a hating version, and they don't
Hmm.
really want to come at you with a good, honest conversation. Their goal is more like they want to tear you down a little bit, and they just want to prove you wrong in some way.
Yeah.
And for those people, it's not as helpful to engage with them. So I try to recognize which category am I dealing with first. Am I dealing with someone
Yeah.
who's being honest and in good faith, or am I dealing with someone who just wants to tear me down and prove me wrong in some
Well,
way?
you can do it, George, because you are a more rational human being. Most women are not nowadays. They take it too personally. They can't handle
Sure.
even a little bit of, okay, you
Yeah.
know how can we get better? How can we improve? Maybe just a little bit, to be more rational. No, they just like I'm dealing with it like, oh gosh, I actually prefer to work with men because of that reason, because I think that men are more rational. You can actually go somewhere, with them, and like, look, if you don't like something, like with Piquet, I tell Piquet like how he can improve, how he can get better, and then in terms of teaching yoga, and then he implements it. I'm like, wow, this is a better class, And then he does the same to me. Like he tells me that, okay, Elena, you did these poses too long. We held them for such a long time. It was annoying, So can you please like improve it, next time? And then we kind of do it. And then Melody is the exceptional case. She's very rational, and I really enjoy having her in our community too. So you haven't met her, but I'm sure that if you want guys to talk to us and ask us the questions what women are looking for in men, will be happy to do that.
Well,
Let's
Elena,
move
let me
on.
ask PK a question here.
Uh-huh.
I've learned that it seems like you need to be more gentle with women, especially when it comes to calling them out on something or holding them
Yeah.
accountable for something. But what's your experience with that? Since you work with a lot of women, how, if you ever need to call them out or correct them,
Yeah.
quote unquote, how do you do it?
Yeah. With me, as most of the people I hang out with, they are in their 20s or 30s. So they look at me at a different level when I talk with them, when the young guys, when I talk with them, they really listen. Some father is talking with them, their uncles or or people like that, So they responded the right way to, even if they don't agree with it, they'll say, okay, PK, yeah, that sounds good. Like kind of not to be in an argument. But
Okay.
if someone else who is like their age, I can see them fighting, talking. I mean, they're like, they really give their best to convince them that she is right. Yeah, you know,
And you're in America
yeah.
too? Are you in America?
Oh yeah, same. Yeah,
Okay, so
I
you
live here in Phoenix. Yeah, and
okay.
it's very common in yoga. The most of the girls, whatever I say, they listen. That's it. I mean, they don't
Lucky
question
you.
anything I tell them. Yeah,
Lucky
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but in dancing, sometimes they question because I have to lead when we dance. So some places they don't agree. Oh, I don't like this kind of move. Can you do this way? So that's the only thing I see. Other than that, I mean, they are with me. I have no problem because I don't have any bad intentions with them either. Means I'm here to dance with them, do yoga with them. I'm not expecting anything more than this. And if they are going out, they invite me, I go out, eat with them, just hang out, regular things, but nothing I don't get into their lives, what they are doing. how is their love life. I have no interest unless they ask me questions. If they are stuck in a relationship, they always have so many questions, I tell you. And I tell them, give my answers to the best of my knowledge. And that's it. I mean, it's just,
You
but
you got a
yeah,
good point there that you made me think of is that I think a lot of women are no longer comfortable following in a man's lead. Now, in some cases, rightfully so. Rightly so in some cases, because a lot of guys can't even lead themselves. So if you can't lead yourself as a man, how are you going to lead any woman? Good point. Very true, right? But there's other times women, they just don't trust men that much, period. And I think some of that is cultural. Some of that is what
yeah,
they see on TV. They're so used to seeing the guys who are portrayed in a less than flattering light, like a buffoon, and they need the woman to tell him what to do to be like on the ball. So I think it's women that have a harder time really retreating into their feminine a little bit and being comfortable in that. And I think also another bad thing I've seen is right on the heels of that, people look down on femininity now, I think. There are some women who think, oh, being feminine is weak, or being feminine is just, oh, look at how manipulatable you are, or you can be a pushover. And they'll shame guys for liking younger or feminine women, and they'll say the same things. Oh, you just want to control her. You just want power over her. And I hear that. I'm like, that's not what it is really. It's like when you're around a feminine woman, like there's a person I think of right now. Like when I'm around her energy, it's just such a like a relief. It's such like a relax, like a softer energy where it's not like you have to combat and fight. It's more pleasant and it's enjoyable to be around. And that's what I think of when I think of femininity. I don't think of like the very disagreeable, strong, combative, like that's them more in their masculines is what I would think. And they have to, a lot of times, to be in the career world. Yeah, that does happen. But like the feminine women really, they usually prioritize mothering and like social relationships more so than a career. But when I see a woman really focused on her career, that is kind of a turnoff to me. It is something where I'm like, what are we going to
yeah,
be? It'd just be friends, and there might be sexual attraction, but it's not something I would think it would be very serious, more than likely. Because you're too similar. If you're too
yeah,
similar, it's like, what are you going to be?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
I actually have a few more questions for you guys. Interesting you brought it up, Jared. Thank you. Um, what do you think women want in men?
Everything.
Everything.
and on top of that, they want what they are not, they want in a man. So it's full now,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, okay, what do they really want? I would think they want to be at least somewhat attracted to them. Probably a guy that's a little taller than them. Probably a guy that makes a little more than them. A guy that has a good social life, friends, his own place, some sense of humor, personality, good in bed. That all of those. And then the only variables would be when they really want a guy to be the father, like a good guy to raise kids with, versus the guy that she just wants to have fun with. Because those are
Yeah,
going to be the two like differentiating things
Different.
there. Where
Yeah.
like when the women are younger, they go for like the bad boys, they go for the wild guys. It's just that's a tale as old as time. It's always been like that. And then as they get older, what they want shifts. And they think, okay, I need a guy that's going to be a little more reliable, a little more trustworthy than the guys I was with previously. And that's what they go for. And it changes depending on how old they are.
yeah, yeah.
And do you
It's
think
very true.
you are that man that women want?
I think I'm the guy right now that people would want casually, but I know right now, like, I'm not where the women who would want something serious, they don't want to come
Okay.
along for the ride that I'm doing. Because right now, it's not like an ego flattering ride to be with me right now. It's like I'm not exactly where I want to be with it. And I'm at an age where women my own age, they don't have time for that. They think, like, screw that. I'm not going to wait around for him to be where he needs to be. A younger woman, they are more likely to, but they are the one, I would be more inclined to try to be serious with a younger woman as opposed to a woman closer to my age, because that fits my purposes too.
Why is that? Why would you be more serious with a younger woman?
Well, for example, if I wanted kids, I'm 38. If I'm with a 38-year-old woman, like, we would need to think, and she doesn't have kids and she wants kids, we would have to start thinking about kids tomorrow. And it's like, I just met you. It's just like a timeline thing. And yeah, you can have a kid technically into your 40s, but that's not that common. But if I meet a girl who's, say, 24, there's time. There's time to develop things. And like, that's the age, around the age of a woman I'm most attracted to anyway. It's just something that, like, that's what feels natural. And there's a lot of women, they love an older guy. Not like way older, but like 10 years older, 15 years even. There's no problem. They like that. And I think people try to say that's not true, but I've seen enough younger women be into older guys that it's absolutely true. It's just, and it's the way it's always been. There's always been guys in their 30s getting with a girl that's like in their younger 20s or even late teens. That's just been the way of the world. And it hasn't been until recently have they decided to make a bigger age gap. They try to make that more shameful. They make it more. Look at what they do to Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He gets a lot of guff, but he's just doing what men have done all of history.
Yeah.
Like all the kings and the sultans and the sheiks, like that's what they would do, and it was just the norm. But what they want him to do. You know what would make them happy? They would love for him to get with like a 40-year-old woman and marry her. They would love that. That would be great. Or even a girl older than him, a woman older than him.
Oh yeah.
Like that, because that's what Keanu Reeves does. Keanu Reeves, I think he's with a woman older than him, and they love that. Oh, he's so mature. Look at how emotionally mature he is with that older woman. It's like just because a woman's younger doesn't mean she's completely emotionally immature. Like, yeah, she won't have as much wisdom probably, just from not living as long. But like, she can still have maturity.
Yeah. Chances are she also will be less brainwashed with feminism, you know. Or you might have a chance to direct her and work with her, you know. This is what my husband, so I'm younger than my husband, not by much, but you know, he told me that I'm pretty easy to be around with, you know, so he didn't have to like break me like a horse all the time.
Good.
You know?
Good.
And I'm like, well, but this is what women are supposed to be doing, you know, if they want a family, if they want to be married. The question is, do they actually want to be married nowadays? And I think the question comes down to why, because they don't need men to survive, you know, they can have men for fun. And a lot of beta men, a lot of like men who don't know any better, they fall for it, you know, they are still supporting this kind of delusion, you know, that women are wrapping everybody in. And yeah, why to bother now, you know? I see a lot of women don't want to get married, you know. It's not just like guys, they are curious because of the legal system, how it's structured, and they have other concerns, right, that lead to you know, more accountability and more financial responsibility for women. But women don't have particular desire to be around men either. This is kind of what I noticed.
For women, especially a successful woman, it's the luxury item for her. When you don't need a man, so many things change. And when you don't need a man, only the best of men will succeed. And that's the biggest difference between now and 50 years ago. The majority of women needed a man to survive. If they didn't want to live in their parents' house their whole life, they needed a man. And it was that necessity that pushed them forward into all of these relationships and marriages. But now we have removed that, There is no more. That necessity is no more. They have their own life. They have their own money. So they don't need a man for as much. And so only fewer qualities are actually attractive to them now, like companionship and just the luxury things, like fun, luxury, companionship. And there's just a lot of guys that don't measure up to that, and you can see that playing out. It is what it is. Like, you can try to
Yeah,
help them. I think Red Pill tries to help them,
they do.
but
Yeah.
as you can see with the amount of guys that go to MGTOW or Black Pill, even they fail, even they fail. And
Yeah.
there's just guys that
I just, what's the incentive? I mean, like yeah, I get the argument, I get the reason why they don't want to try with women anymore, because like literally, what's the point? you know, when most of them are going to be feminized, most women. And I recently sent a reel to Rollo Tomassi, a small girl. She was like 5 years old, and she was saying that, oh, don't tell me, um, um, what was she saying? Um, tell me I'm awesome. If you have something else to say, you don't have to tell me that. At 5 years old, Jared. The delusion. Okay, I thought women would stop maturing the moment they realize they can get an easy way, but just dating guys, they get what they want. The guys give them what they want. The government gives them what they want. That independence from men. But 5 years old, this is the entitled attitude. She's going to grow into some feminist out there. This is how we are raising feminists effectively. She has a big clout. She has over 1,005,000 followers on Instagram. People
and so
like
the
that kind of
5-year-old was saying she's awesome. That's what happened. The
She's
5-year-old was
awesome. Oh yes, I can send. I will send you the reel. I don't want to put it publicly because I don't want YouTube to take me down for using the child content. But yeah, she was, and she has a lot of reels like that, and people are giving her likes. People are following her, and um, like yeah, she's totally entitled. At 5 years old, five or
well.
maybe like even younger.
There's a difference between having a good mindset and a good belief in yourself and then being entitled. Being entitled is when like you expect too much and you
She
think
sounded
just
like, okay,
because.
I'll send it to you. You will give me your judgment, okay? I think she sounded like she has a lot of similar reels like that, where she's all like all over herself, like
What
so.
was her parents? Her parents are running the account or something?
They are definitely helping her because she can't do that. So maybe she is just projecting what her mother is telling her to do.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be it.
That sounds about right. Well, a
Yeah,
narcissistic mother, I mean narcissistic parents in general, they see their children as extensions of themselves. And
yeah.
so she sees this 5-year-old, her daughter, as an extension of herself. Any admiration that girl gets, she will feel she's getting it too. Because, oh, this is just an extension of me. And the girl who's 5, she's probably not coming up with this stuff on her own. She's being parented, quote unquote, to say those things. And
Yeah.
that's another discussion, though, how kids are raised these days. I think there's a lot of wisdom missing in a lot of how people raise kids these days, but that's a whole different
Yeah,
subject there.
yeah. But it's really frustrating. One of the fitness instructors sent me that reel, and I started checking her, and I'm like, wow, this girl is going to be another feminist. She has all of the predispositions already, and it's not like I don't yeah I don't think it's like entirely her fault, obviously, because her parents make her do this, her mother, in that case, but
They're
yeah,
using her, is what it seems like. She's
she
5 years
she
old, and she's already
5 years
being
old.
used as some sort of pawn
Yeah.
for that. And like she's used, it's just like a childhood Hollywood star. What happens to all of them? They lose their
Yeah.
childhood, and they get traumatized, and then like later in life they have all these issues, and they often go to drugs, drinking, whatever. But it's pretty wrong of the parents to be putting her, because she can't really even consent to this. She's 5 years old.
Exactly.
She doesn't know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
But her parents are putting it out there in the limelight. Like maybe when this kid's older, she'd be upset that her parents did this to her. She's like, I didn't want my whole life to be on Instagram, but there it is.
Well, they don't put out your life like some of the other content creators do. I've seen a lot of that. We actually have a lot of friends who are doing this to their children. Like they literally show every single poop their kids are doing.
Right.
This kind of
Too
obsession
much.
is nuts. It's too much information. And
Too
I
much.
brought it up. I told people that, look, I don't think we should put our animals, our pets out there. And I don't think we should put the children out there because it's very abusive. And yeah, you're going to get a lot of likes because people usually like children and animals. But are you going to be judged objectively based on the value that you're providing? No, it's just an appeal to emotion, and this is why I brought it up. I told people, look, we can't really do this, especially if you're teaching fitness. I see a lot of fitness instructors are doing this, like they put their dogs out there. I don't hate dogs. I love dogs, but I'm not going to give a like to a content creator whose channel is about fitness and the person who is putting your dogs out there. It's not the purpose of your channel. So why are you doing? But she gets a lot of likes anyway. Like mine, it doesn't count.
Well,
Like the majority of people, they like it. I'm like, what is the relevance to the channel? What is the relevance? Okay, I get it if it's just the animal channel that you are doing, and all you do is like you're helping out animals. I actually am subscribed to a few of those channels. I like their videos, that they're putting out there. But like fitness instructor, come on, get some objectivity there. Post more content about like challenging your mindset, challenging your body. Do more homework and don't just use something that is so easy that people will give like an easy like. You haven't earned that like objectively. Well,
well,
I'm
they're
just
doing it for they're doing it for the admiration. They do that for the admiration. They do that for the attention. And I think that's where you see character deficiencies, where people will do anything just for a little attention and for some supply, narcissistic fuel. And in our society right now, we have all of the wrong motivating factors, incentive systems, because that's all you need right now to become wealthy. If you get enough eyes on you, you can monetize that. So that's the incentive system we have. But the only difference is, I'm reading a book about this right now. It's called Character Disturbance, where when a push comes to shove, if you don't have good character, you're going to do anything just for the admiration, just for the potential gain to you. But eventually character has to come into play, where you say, okay, you got to have some principles. You got to have some values. And I think, that's a part of masculinity that I don't hear too much about anymore because it's not sexy. It's not sexy.
yeah.
That part's not sexy, but it's very useful to me. People
Mm-hmm.
should talk about it, but I don't hear much about it.
Let's talk about it next time.
Yeah.
You
Not
can do it.
this time. Yeah.
Well, have either one of you read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Is it a book?
Yeah, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
I
Okay.
haven't read it. I heard about it, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he says in
Yes.
that book, right, that everyone should
Yeah.
have a personal constitution. And the personal
Yeah.
constitution is your list of valuables and principles you adhere to. Just like the government adheres to its U.S. Constitution, so too shall every individual adhere to their own personal constitution. And he says,
Yeah,
he
we
talks
all
a lot
have it.
about, yeah, but a lot of people don't really have too many principles on their list. Their goals are really just more attention,
Go to work. Yeah.
yes,
Go
more
to
money.
work, come home, sleep, eat, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so,
But,
but I think religion not being popular as much as it was anymore, that plays a part a little bit too. I do see more people into spirituality now. There's people
That's what
more
we need.
into yoga,
Yeah,
meditation,
that's what we need.
other things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, if when people go deep into yoga and spirituality, that's where they learn all these things, the character, the ability to do things, what is right, what is wrong, because none of us are born with it, we just came empty, so we
Sure.
have to learn it, because we didn't know, because my parents didn't know, they didn't know because their parents didn't know. So it continued for so long. Now it's time to learn it and teach everybody else. That's what we need to do. Yeah, I mean
I
it's
think
it's
the big principles I think people are missing these days: honesty and humility. If you can have those two things, you can go a far way.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think a lot of
big,
people don't have those things. And so they can, and when you don't have honesty and humility, you can co opt anything. You can
yeah,
take religion or spirituality and you can twist it and distort it to meet your selfish needs if you don't
yeah,
have honesty and humility. I think we see
yeah.
that too a little bit.
Because of the fear, they don't have honesty. So
Yes.
that's it's just fear of anything. Could be thoughts, could be people, could be losing money, could be losing friendship, could be losing status, could be any reason, the fear. That's why
Right.
makes you dishonest, it's just,
Sure.
yeah, many. Humility, we got egos in ourselves, we don't do that anymore, because, we don't say, oh, you're helpful to me, you help me. We don't say that anymore. We don't say thank you. Why? Because I'm big myself, I'm something shouldn't be taking help from others,
Or you
I'm
believe
like,
that you are
yeah,
owed.
yeah,
Everybody owes you. This is why
yeah, yeah,
you don't
yeah.
need to. There was one girl. She never really contributed anything to the channel, and she wrote to me when I started openly talking about
Uh-huh.
feminism, and I came up with like maybe aggressive way of talking about it. I know I can be
Yeah,
aggressive sometimes, but I wanted to get the point to people out, and the message was okay. It was delivered, but she didn't take it like the way I intended it to be taken, right? So she told me, "Oh, this channel is so confusing. I thought it was about fitness." And I haven't. She's been subscribed for a long time, and I haven't seen any comment or any kind of engagement from her. And I always read my comments. Like if people write to me, I will read your comment, guys, and I will respond. She never reached out. She never sent an email. There is an option to send an email if you don't want your comments to be public. There is an option to fill out stay in touch form where people can give me feedback if they don't want their comments to be seen. None of that. Then I come up with this feminism in a nutshell, like very crazy kind of video. And then she's like, oh, this channel is so confusing. It's cloud chasing. Boom. You are a narcissist. You are this, you are that. I'm like, okay, my friend, why? Oh, and she initially subscribed for the fitness content. I'm like, out of all of this time that you've been subscribed, I've never seen any single comment from you. You've never attended a single class. I know
So
my
you posted a
subscribers.
feminism thing. You
I
posted a feminism post to your channel?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
and well, anti-feminism, obviously,
Right.
but I kind of like presented it in a way that like would strike people, and then it worked. I got some reaction. I can't say it was completely negative. Well, yeah, sure, I got some negative feedback from it, but still, it incited some reaction from you because before like we were talking about this nicely for such a long time. We've been covering some topics, raising children. Pikia, how long have you been doing this discussion? For a long time, I think.
yeah, it's
And
been a couple of years. Yeah,
yeah, a couple of years now, and none, like nothing, and then she called me all sorts of names. I'm like, okay, my dear friend, like I'm sorry to see you go, but like what? And I challenged her. I told her that look, we are trying to bring more awareness, and it's right on the banner that we do the discussions. Also, you don't have to watch the discussions, you can prioritize and set up the preference on the YouTube so that the discussions don't show up on your feed. The only fitness content will show up. And even then, like I haven't seen any comments from you, so I was kind of nice to hear. And then I told her, then well, and then she responded to me. She called me narcissist. You know, the message I presented was a very mean way, not the way that she would want it to be. And I told her, okay, how could I improve? You know, how could it be done better? And she's gone. You know, she disappeared. And I'm like, I'm grateful for that kind of feedback, because it made me thinking that, okay, maybe my way of presenting this information is not the best. I should totally, I agree with that, you know, but at the same time, I was trying out things, and because when you talk about it nicely, uh, you can't sugarcoat, you know, the objective reality, the facts. And people seem to want, like, if you just are like a tone nicer, you know, like maybe people will get it. No, they are not going to get it. If they don't have open mind, they are not going to, you know. And so she called me all
Well,
sorts of names, and I'm like,
here's the thing
okay.
for you, Elena. I bet you, though, it's going to be very difficult for you to talk about that on your fitness channel because it's only going to alienate some people, right? So if you want to talk about fitness, I would stick to a page that's just with fitness and then talk about the other kinds of things on another place because it's only going to alienate on your one channel there. So you get people wanting fitness, but then one of two things will happen. Either they're feminist and they're not going to like it and they'll probably leave, or you get the people that agree with it and stay. But you chance losing some of your audience when you do that. Absolutely. So I would almost recommend, since they're two different things, two different channels almost in that case, because like you're combining the two, it'll make it more difficult. It'll
I know
definitely
this,
make it more
Jared.
difficult to grow.
I know it, but at the same time, gosh, I understand. Yeah, I was one of the yoga teachers. She told me that too. Why don't you separate the two? And I'm like, one is already so much work, you know, managing one channel, and you know, being a YouTuber, it's a lot of work, especially if you have to create like other Instagram pages. I don't want to be on social media too much. I don't mind
Right.
small audience, you know. I just want the people who are more like critical thinking people, you know, because if I flash myself out there like just for fitness, you know, okay, in fitness you can go kind of like two ways. You can put yourself naked or semi naked, you know. On Instagram you will get millions of subscribers the next day, okay. Or you can go harder. It's like I already go kind of harder. I don't want to expose my body. I will never post myself naked or like I don't understand these pictures that women put in the swimming suit. For me it's like underwear, you know. You're effectively
Right.
like showing off yourself with the underwear, and they do some yoga poses out there, you know. It's not very okay, you might be able to do the poses right, you might know the anatomy, but it's still, people are not going to judge you objectively, you know. And I don't want to contribute to this madness that is happening already in the fitness world, you know. So people who find value in this channel, they will have to stick with it, because if they don't want, I beg them to unsubscribe, because I don't want them, you know. I really don't want them here, because we are doing a
I
lot of this.
guess you just have to be very careful. If you're going to do it, you got to be careful how you say things. That's all. Like
Yeah,
you got to really be. If you're aggressive with it or abrasive with it, that probably will be tough. But
yeah.
if you are very mindful of how you say it and you like try to be gentle about it, that would probably be the best way to go. But it just depends what you want your main focus to be. Do you want your main focus to be fitness, or do you want your main focus to be like anti-feminism?
Look, this is interesting point that you bring it up. I love teaching fitness, and I started recently teaching fitness in the gym. So I see that people who go to the gym, they actually are more interested in staying fit and healthy, so they attend the classes, you know, versus online, it can be hit and miss. So I'm kind of shifting towards more like anti-feminism and the red pill
Okay.
content, because it makes, okay, I will still put content out there. And I even ran the survey. I asked people, what kind of classes do you want to see? Do you want to see them full length classes? Because I used to run the full length yoga classes, and we are still doing it. We are still running it with Pikia. He is joining for the classes, so we will keep doing it. But most of them stage short mini workouts, to target specific body parts. I'm like, okay, it sounds good to me because it's less work for me. And then, they get the benefit of like working specific body parts, I guess, but it's not going to be like a super, I get a feeling that it's not going to be a super, like rich fitness,
I get you. I get you.
because people don't want it. If people wanted it, I would do it. I would still keep running these full length classes. But if they don't, and I can see how many people watch the class. There are not that many people that watch our fitness classes. Last time we ran with Pikia, we kind of do it for ourselves, so that we improve. We work on our teaching skills. But it's not like, if people want to join, they're welcome to join. If they don't want to join, there are so many thousands of YouTube channels out there that they can go and find, somebody else who will teach them
Right.
fitness, for example.
I got
I'm
you.
not going to be um, like I used to do. Like I used to teach a lot of classes, and like, come on, guys, just join. Work on your body. It's so good for you. It's good for your mind. Fitness has a lot of psychological benefits in addition to physical benefits. You will be healthy. But who am I talking to? Who is going to listen? Not like,
Right.
yeah. Like we become so lazy. I just don't see like the future of like fitness content. There are a lot of channels out there. Some guys, they just stupid requests, which I really don't like. This is why I say, like, you may sound like aggressive. No, like when you get asked on YouTube channel, like, can you go like braless without wearing a bra? I'm like, no, not on this YouTube channel. Go on OnlyFans. You know why are you asking me these things? It's like, uh,
That's half
yeah,
a troll. It's half trolling, but as a woman creator, they probably get a lot of that.
yeah, we do. It's just like one side of it, and this
I
is why
just ignore that. You ignore that because it's not really like you put that in the category of someone who's not really trying to be helpful. That's just a guy. He's trying to turn you into like an OnlyFans girl, and like
yeah,
that's not what you're
it's
doing.
like, no, it's not going to happen here. Second, it's not going to
Right.
happen on my Instagram page. Most of my content on Instagram is music, it's fitness, and it's like red pill,
I got you.
awareness, mindfulness. Yeah.
But
So
Elena, PK, I got to get
All
going
right.
here because I got a
yeah,
Yeah,
couple
me too.
things I got
Yeah.
to do.
Nice to meet you,
But
Wizard. Very nice. Yeah, yeah. Keep coming.
very
Yeah.
nice meeting you
That's
as
great.
well.
I
And we got to
appreciate
do
it.
this
Yeah.
another time here too because
Sure.
'cause I got to get to work here. But thanks for having me on,
Yeah, me
Elena.
too.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
thank you,
Yeah.
Jared. Yeah, thank you, Pikia, for
Elena,
joining us
Yeah.
today. Have a
See you guys.
show
wonderful
me.
day, guys. See you soon.
So long.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Pikia.
Elena.
Take care. Mhm.
Yeah.